Today we will be reading Teety, the story of young Teddy Roosevelt. 10-year-old Teety played with his sisters and brother in their fine house on 28th Street. He liked being there, for Teety was a timid homebody who studied with visiting tutors instead of going to school. Small for his age, he had weak eyes and frail muscles. Sickly lungs left him gasping. He'd later describe himself as delicate. Surely a boy like him would expect nothing more than the most unremarkable of lives. But Teety, Teddy Roosevelt, had different thoughts of what his future would be. The Roosevelts were one of the New York City's wealthiest families, and Teety enjoyed uncommon privileges such as servants, grand vacations to foreign lands, and summer houses. Teety, his brother Ellie, and his sisters Bambi and Coney loved summers in the country. They had cats and dogs and rabbits and a Shetland pony named General Grant. Their father taught them to climb trees. They ran barefoot, picked apples, gathered nuts, and hunted frogs successfully, and woodchucks unsuccessfully. They built wigwams in the woods. But the Roosevelts' wealth couldn't protect Teety from asthma. The disease made him struggle for air and gave him the terrifying feeling of slowly drowning. Asthma puzzled doctors, and there were no clear remedies. Frightened and unsure of what to do, his father paced the room with little Teety in his arms, or his mother rubbed his chest with her gentle fingers. They took Teety on long carriage drives in search of a helpful change of air. Panicked, they even experimented with wild cures, sometimes having young Teety gulp coffee or puff on a cigar. Asthma would always trouble him, doubling him into adulthood from time to time. Despite his weak body, Teety had a strong mind. He loved reading. My father and mother had the good sense not to try to get me to read anything I did not like, he said, adding, I do not believe a child's book is really good unless grown-ups get something out of it. He had boundless curiosity. Once he walked down the street and spotted a dead seal laying out on a slab of wood. That seal filled me with every feeling of romance and adventure, he said. I carefully made a record of utterly useless measurements and at once began to write a natural history of my own on the strength of that seal. I did get the seal's skull and promptly started the Roosevelt Museum of Natural History. It was a natural turn for boys whose father had helped him find the American Museum of Natural History in New York City. In 1872, Papa Roosevelt gave his 13-year-old son a shotgun. While hunting, Teety noticed his companions saw things to shoot that he could not see at all, and they could read distant billboards, while he was unable to even see the letters. Neither he nor his family had ever noticed his nearsightedness before. He was fitted for eyeglasses, and an entirely new world opened for him. I had no idea how beautiful the world was, he remarked. Still, Teety's frail body troubled his father. You have the mind, but you have not the body, and without the help of the body, the mind cannot go as far as it should. He told Teety, you must make your body. It is hard drudgery to make one's body, but I know you will do it. Teety agreed at once. He spent hours in the gym, hauling himself up and down the horizontal bars, lifting dumbbells and weights. He paddled in the hottest sun over the roughest water in the smallest boat. He rode horses. On one outing, the horse turned a somersault over a fence. After the fall, I found I could not use my left arm, so we pounded along. I did not appreciate that my arm was broken for 3 or 4 fences, he said. Yet, for all the hard work, Teety remained undersized, nervous, and timid. Enduring another asthma attack, he was sent away to the mountains to recover. While traveling alone by stagecoach to meet friends, he chanced upon two bullies. They proceeded to make life miserable for me. I made up my mind that I would not again be put in such a helpless position. I started to learn to box, he later remembered. He was a slow and awkward pupil, but he entered a match and, to everyone's surprise, won. This was one of my exceedingly rare athletic triumphs, he said. The pewter mug he was rewarded became one of his most prized possessions. By 1876, Teddy was known to many as Teddy. He enrolled in Cambridge's famous Harvard University. I thoroughly enjoyed Harvard, and I'm sure it did me good, but only in the general effect, for there was very little in my actual studies which helped me in my afterlife, he admitted. After graduation, he wanted not to rise on anyone else's shoulders. I hoped only to be given chances that my deeds and abilities warranted. I did not wish what I did not earn. He considered a science career. He wrote a book about the War of 1812, the first of many books he'd written. He studied the law a bit. He entered politics and was elected to the New York Assembly. He married and had a daughter, but tragedy struck, and his wife died. Hoping to mend his broken heart, he fled to the Dakota Badlands, leaving his baby in his sister's care. Teddy wasn't a great cowboy, but an enthusiastic one. He lassoed calves, rode on roundups, headed off for stampedes, and broke broncos. When a gun-toting cowboy made fun of Teddy's eyeglasses, he flattened the cowboy with one punch. It was a powerful, broad-shouldered Teddy who returned to New York in 1886. He remarried and fathered 5 more children. In 1895, he was appointed New York City Police Commissioner and put down lawlessness and disorder. His good work attracted the President of the United States, who made him Assistant Secretary of the Navy. When war started between America and Spain in 1898, he formed a volunteer cavalry called the Rough Riders. At San Juan, Puerto Rico, Colonel Teddy Roosevelt led his men in a charge against enemy trenches. People called him gallant and courageous and recommended him for the Medal of Honor. Famous now, he was elected governor of New York and then Vice President of the United States. In 1901, Teddy Roosevelt became the President of the United States, the youngest ever at 42. 1900, President William McKinley, Vice President Teddy Roosevelt, was assassinated in 1901. Teddy decided America will not be a good place for any of us to live if it is not reasonably a good place for all of us to live in. Taking his own advice of seize the moment and do what you can with what you have, where you are, Teddy policed big businesses and demanded that they act fairly, protected the Grand Canyon and other wild places, built a canal in Panama, ended a war between the Russians and Japanese, and won the Nobel Peace Prize. His success was remarkable, amazing, extraordinary, yet Teddy claimed he was just average. But the world knew differently. The undersized boy that had become a larger-than-life man.